Hi, my name is Jacob Bogarts, and today I'm going to talk about Blade Runner 2049, AI, and the Blade Runner 2049 came out in 2017 and was directed by Denis Villeneuve. In this film, Agent K, a replicant Blade Runner, uncovers a secret that leads him to search for a former Blade Runner who's been missing for over 30 years. Sci-fi genre semantics. Why is Blade Runner science fiction? The science fiction genre represents science and its consequences in the future. This film fits into the genre by showing the impacts of artificial intelligence, slavery, love and emotion, and the overall feeling of what it means to be human. This film contains many instances of semantics and syntax of the sci fi genre, including AI and robots. An example of this would be Joy, Kay's girlfriend, replicants like Blade Runners, and gadgets like the ones used by Kay for DNA sequencing. It shows a dystopian future where climate change has decimated Los Angeles, and of course, future. This film does take place in Los Angeles in the year 2049. The director uses many instances of cinematography to show syntax and gives the audience a really good feel of what it means to be in a future dystopian. Metaphors, allegories, and ideologies. A prevalent metaphor in the film are the eyes, thought of as a uniquely individual and human trait and often thought of as windows to the soul. Agent K often refers to replicants not having a soul in the film, and the opening shot establishes the metaphor and gives clues that humanity will be a major film throughout, which it is. The allegories in this film include technology. We see a distant future with virtual companions and a world where technology is completely integrated with everyday life, much more than our own today. It also shows too much technology can ruin interpersonal relationships, like the relationship between Kay and his holographic girlfriend. He becomes upset when she freezes during a kiss on the rooftop, and in the end, when she meets her death, he seems taken aback, but then runs into an instance where he sees her essentially floor model and begins to doubt their relationship from the onset and what it meant to him. Some ideologies throughout the film would be climate change. We see a future where plant life is gone and the ocean has risen immensely. We see people begin to farm for protein and envy at the thought of seeing trees. We can tell from this film that the director has a clear stance on the current states of climate change and intended to show that in this film. This obviously is a clear commentary on what will happen if society does not change its ways in regards to climate change and what the director thinks may happen in the future. This ideology is also held by many prominent figures within Hollywood and seems to be striking a chord in the representations of gender. Gender roles within the society of Blade Runner 2049. It shows how the roles have evolved. However, it still places females in specific roles like housewives and prostitutes. Joy is a great example of this. She is a girlfriend to Kay and a housewife type. We see this in many instances throughout the film where she conforms to what he needs when he gets home from work and tries to fulfill his needs every way she can. We see her as a sitcom housewife type, especially when we first view her when he comes home from dealing with the protein farmer. It illustrates the vulnerability in relationships. Kay tries to keep his distance, referring to her as very real when asked by her makers how he feels about their product. Again, on the rooftop, we see him hesitate at this when she tells him she's so happy with him, he says, "You don't have to say that on the rooftop in the rain." He knows that she is AI, but is conflicted about his feelings towards her. Representations of sexuality: AI girlfriends and prostitute pleasure models. Joy is a great example of an AI girlfriend, and Mariette would be our example of a replicant made for male pleasure. It seems as though replicants made for male pleasure are commonplace in the society, often being added to orders for worker models. These models are used to fulfill the fantasy and male desire. We do not see any male pleasure models in the film. Another huge theme of sexuality is female procreation. It seems to be only acceptable in society by human females, and many don't see the possibility of replicants even being able to conceive a child. Through this, we see that replicants are seen more as pleasure beings, and humans are the only species capable of love in this film. One of the main plot features here is that Kay finds a pregnant replicant and is told to keep it a secret, tasked to remove all the evidence because his madame thinks it would shake the world. This implies that reproduction is only reserved for humans, and replicants are essentially seen as sex slaves or potentially only there for human. Representations of race. In this film, race is not necessarily about color, but about labor. Often, K is called a skin job, a derogatory term to his race or his labor of race. Replicants in this film are seen as slave labor and beneath the humans, only meant to serve them. They're treated they're treated like slaves by their masters, and K's boss he even refers to as Madame, not as his boss. It shows that slavery still exists in 2049 but has evolved. Robots are the new slaves and is seen as exploitable because they don't have a soul. This is something that's indicative of the thoughts about African Americans pre-Civil War. Kay receives prejudice from humans around him. When he's walking through the police station, he opts to lower his head and avoid eye contact while walking through, and often gets bumped and shoved by the other police officers, knowing that his presence angers them. Representations of class. Class representations in this film is indicative of the housing and technology accessories that are used by various people in the class. We can see that Agent K lives in a small, cramped looking apartment in comparison to the Wallace Corp house and office, the company who manufactures his virtual girlfriend. Many gadgets used by different classes illustrate this representation as well. K drives a beat up spinner and is seen using an out of date gene device to look up gene pairings. Wallace Corp's computer interfaces are much more superior and advanced and illustrate how the wealthy have all the power in this current society and control the masses with artificial intelligence. Joy is Kay's AI companion and girlfriend, who we see throughout the film. It asks the questions if robots are capable of love. This is something that Kay himself struggles with throughout the film, even though he is a robot and she is AI. Kay throughout the film struggles with this, and in the end realizes, or seems to realize, it's not the same as real companionship, which is indicative of the scene where he sees her essential floor model and starts to ponder whether or not their relationship was as real as he was beginning to feel it was. This could be a commentary on relationships over social media and the internet, in this current age of technology and where we could be impacting canon. Within the industry, this film won Academy Awards for Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects. It's a great example of how sci fi sequels can be successful and eases the fear of botched sequels by sci fi fans. It showcases societal fears of AI and climate change and what it means to be human. It highlights social issues like abortion, and it begs the question of what humanity will look like in the future with our current and future technology.